All right, in this video, I want to talk specifically about David and his participation in the apology tour. Now, I'm going to make a separate video talking about Christine and how Kody's apology to her felt completely flat, why it was insincere, and why it was completely inappropriate for him to even approach her with this bullshit apology. But I wanted to give a shout out to David, first and foremost, for being a partner to Christine. He was there for her not just as a husband, but as a partner, somebody who is supporting her in a time that she needs to feel supported, she needs to feel loved, and she needs to feel validated in how she feels. Now, before we get into like David's response and some of the things that happened during the course of this meeting involving David, I wanted to take a quick reflection on something Christine said that I think pretty much sets the table of what it means for David to be involved, the importance of him to be involved, and why it was necessary for him to be there. Let's take a quick listen to what Christine had to say, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
David and I are in Vegas. Kody reached out to me and wanted to chat, have a little, what did he call it? Extend an olive branch. Meeting up with Kody has me doubting myself and my ability to be strong, and I don't like that either. I'm very frustrated with myself for even thinking that I can't do this conversation.
And this is where I feel a lot of sympathy for Christine, because she did a lot of work. She did a lot of work to get herself from the place where she was when she left the Brown family, left Kody, and decided to venture out on her own, take the chance to pursue her own happiness. She did a lot of work on herself in trying to build herself back up, because when she left the family, and if you recall the terms and conditions that she left the family in, she left the family with severe damage to her self-esteem, her confidence, and who she was as a person. She was unsure. And with her time away, her healing process that she engaged in, her taking the opportunity to improve upon herself, and then finding a partner who's willing to help her with her healing and continue that healing process. Because I want to be very clear, and I think it's very important to state that David, in this instance, I don't want to necessarily give him too much credit. I do want to give him credit, but I don't want to give him too much credit by saying that he's the reason why Christine is healed. He's the reason why Christine is better. I think Christine did her own share of work, which is required for her to be able to engage in a healthy relationship with another person, to even begin trying to heal with that person in tandem. But she did her own thing. And we also have to recognize that a lot of her hesitance for getting back into this conversation, oh, I don't understand why she's hesitant about talking to Kody, why it's so scary. If you've ever been in a situation where you've been mistreated or things have happened, you don't, there's no time limit or expiration date on that trauma. There's not a point where you say, you know what, it's been a year, I'm good now. It's been 6 months since we broke up, or whatever, you know, I took the kids and I left. I'm fine. That's not a thing. Everyone heals in their own time. Everybody has their own process for healing. And in some cases, that healing may be an ongoing process. That complete healing and a complete resolution of the issues that day may never come, but there's a constant working towards that. And part of the fear that I think I hear when I hear Christine talk about it is the concern and the unsteadiness of, if Kody says the wrong thing, will I be right back where I was when I left? It's testing that boundary. How far have you actually come? And in the distance that you've come, how much of that is permanent and how much of that is just, is fugazi? How much of that did you just do and you think you came so far, but you realize when you get back in the room with them and you're sitting across the table from them that you haven't gone 2 steps out of the relationship? Right? So I think that that's one of the concerns that she's dealing with. And David is there as a good partner, like I said, to support her in this whole process. Now, Kody, he does an introduction as to why David is there. And I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm going to let Kody speak for himself. But we're going to have thoughts. I have thoughts about what it is he says after the clip plays.
I asked David to come along. It'd be a good idea for me to get to know David because I've seen him make a lot of comments about me, not even knowing me. So I'm like, well, David, you really don't know me.
Like, David, you don't really know me. Like he could barely contain himself. Look here, Playboy. Let me tell you something. It's not David's job to get to know you. It's your job to get to know David. Now, you're not getting to know David. Let's be very, very clear. Let's be very clear about this, because this is something I addressed way back when in season, 18 or 19, where you supposedly first met David for the first time and at Gwendolyn's marriage at bridal shower or whatever. You sat there and pretended like it was on David, and somehow David has to come to you and appeal to you and ask you for permission. Bruh, that's not the case. My thing is, your child truly lives in David's house. It's on you to make sure that David knows who you are and you know who he is, so that you can ensure that your child is safe in that house. And I've said this before as well. The whole idea that, oh, David don't know me, that shit is cute when you're talking about me. When you're talking about, YouTubers and commentators and people who comment on social media about what's going on in your life, it could be a valid argument for you to say that we really don't know you, we don't know who you are, et cetera, et cetera. The problem that you have when you're talking about David, though, David is all up in your mix, bro. David's all up in your situation, because David, your child is sleeping down the hall from David's ass. When Christine go to work or she go out of town for the night, David could be in the house by himself with your daughter. And the fact that it took you this long, like they've been married now for years. I think at the point of this apology tour, they've been married for like almost a year, going on 2 years at this point. And you still don't know this man? Are you nuts? I've heard Kody come out and say things to the effect that, he should have the right to get to know David. And if necessary, because of Truly, he should have the right to come back and refuse David, admittance into the family and regulate who Christine dates based on that, because you have Truly. You are playing your position. You're overplaying your hand, bro. You're overplaying your hand. You don't have a right to tell her who she can date, who she can sleep with. You have a right to talk about the influences on your child and how it plays to your child. But see, even that part of it, it only goes to the point where your involvement is there. If you're not involved with the day-to-day of what's happening with that child, and you basically have abandoned that child and left the child to be raised by their mom because you feel uncomfortable or it's not convenient or whatever excuse you're given at the moment, then she's making all the decisions. It's on her, because that's what you left her with. And by you saying that you don't know him and he don't know you, that tells me that you haven't been taking your ass out there to see Truly. That you're not as involved as a parent as you pretend to be. When Thundercat's sitting around talking about how sexy it is that you take care of your kids and you such a good dad, you're not taking care of this one. Because if you was taking care of Truly, you would already know who David is. And I'm saying that man to man, father to father. There's no way in the world, and I'm going to say this twice, there's no way in the world my daughter would ever stay with another man and I don't know who the hell he is. Point blank, period. The end. There's no way in the world my daughter is going to be sleeping under another man's roof, eating off of his plates, going in his refrigerator, spending an inordinate amount of time with him, and I don't know who he is, and he doesn't know me. I'm not saying we're going to be best buddies. We're not going to be sitting around sucking down beers, as you say. But there's no way in the world this man is walking around and we don't have a conversation. We don't have a few conversations, because I want to be involved and I want to know. But the funny thing about that is, is that Kody oftentimes complains that, you know, his wives are his bridge to his children. And if you want to take a spectator role in the rearing of your children, that's your business. But if you want to be a participant in the rearing of your children, you got to come down. You have to stop waiting for liaisons. You have to stop waiting for permissions. You have to stop waiting for somebody to come and hold your hand to make sure that you're getting your visits in, and you have to take it upon yourself and be involved with your child. You got to be a whole ass adult and be involved with your child. You know, anybody can make a baby, but it takes an adult and a parent to raise one. You got to be an adult. You have to take responsibility and stop trying to shift responsibility to everybody else. It's on you to try to make sure that you know who Truly's stepfather is. And the man is going to be involved with her on a day-to-day. What kind of influence he's going to put on her. You worried about how shit look. Oh, they live in the same house. I don't like that. What about his character? What about who he is as a person? But your feelings was hurt, so you got to go and hide somewhere for 2-3 years while Christine did it. And to that point, even to the first point, Christine not only had to heal herself, but she had to help her heal her children. And when you went off and hid because your feelings were hurt because you were going through 3 divorces and woe is me, and I had COVID and I got sick and I was knocking on death's door and circling the drain, and oh no, well, I'm so poor Kody. Oh ho ho ho. Christine had to pick up her stuff. She had to make arrangements to move. She had to take care of herself and her child because she too was going through a divorce. And then she too, unlike you, she had to go through the pains of having to try to figure out not only finding a partner for herself that's compatible for her, but she also had to go through the pains to make sure that the person that she found was compatible with her children and her child who was living in the house. Your child who was living in the house. You weren't concerned then, bro. So the whole it was on he needs to stop talking about me. It sounds to me that you're more concerned about him talking about you than him living in the house with your daughter, which again, this is one of the things that people, when they think about you and Robin, you guys have severe character deficits. It's not just the stuff you say or the things you do. It's the things that you don't say and the things that you do say that demonstrate that you have poor character. Next up, there's a point where he says that he asked David to come down. And I thought that was cute. But let's give Kody his opportunity to say how he asked him to be there, but he don't want him to interrupt. You know, you here for my apology. Let my star shine.
Yeah, I asked for David to be present with Christine because they're married. I want to respect their marriage. I'm just hoping he will not interrupt my effort to apologize.
In other words, you want to make this all about you and how you feel. You want to be the star of the show. You want to just get up and say what you want to say, how you want to say it, and have Christine stand up and applaud you and cry. And, oh, Kody, that's such a great performance. Yay, give him the Oscar or the Daytime Emmy for best reality show moment or whatever the hell you guys get, right? The Razzie Award or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that when push comes down to shove, there wouldn't have been a meeting without David present. Let's call it what it is. David was supplying not only probably to give Christine a ride, like he rode it, rode her to the airport in their car, but he was also providing support, emotional support, so she could feel comfortable sitting in a room. And that says a lot that she doesn't feel comfortable sitting in a room with you. And I can see why, because of that very statement. You want to say what you want to say, how you want to say it, and you don't want anybody to interrupt you. And by interrupt, give their perspective or a different opinion, which may cause you to either question or explain further what your little rambling means. You're just used to saying a bunch of things that don't mean anything and not having anybody question it. But if you have a third party there, especially a disinterested third party, they very well may ask that difficult question that you don't want to answer. After the apology, because I'm going to streamline this because I want to talk specifically about David. After the apology, Kody says something to the effect that David wants to be involved with the apology. And we're going to watch the clip, but this is another one of those things. David wants to be involved with the apology, and here's my thoughts on it. Let's take a look.
The thing is like when I talk to Christine about you, I see it from a guy's point of view. I really do. I get where you're coming from in a lot of ways.
I appreciate the sort of the vote of grace.
Yeah.
David, thank you. And I appreciate what David's sharing. It's the only difficulty in apologizing to my ex while her husband is here is that he wants to be involved in the conversation. And it's not an apology to him or from him.
And that's part of the problem. It's not an apology to him or from him, but he's a part of the conversation. You know why? Because now he's the one who's caretaking and maintaining the feelings of his wife. He's the one who's responsible. After this meeting is over and whatever fallout happens from this meeting, he's the one that's going to have to deal with it. So, yeah, he does have a say from that respect. Now, as far as, you trying to make this about you and Christine, here's the secret to the sauce, brother. There is no you and Christine. There's no you and Christine. There's Christine and you. There's Kody and Robin. There's David and Christine. There is no more Christine in you. That doesn't exist. So when you take the position that, David ought to be here and I don't mind him sitting here and listening, but he's just here as a spectator because I want to apologize. First of all, as I will go through more detail in my Christine apology video, you didn't apologize for anything. You apologize for a lot of non sequiturs, things that don't mean anything. And when you apologize, even through that, David is trying to give you grace. He's trying to give you a way in. He's saying, as a guy, I try to explain to Christine some of these things, and I see where you're coming from. Even if he doesn't agree with it, he said, I see where you're coming from. I'm trying to, smooth the rails for you. And you are so vested in doing this apology because, as a teaser for the Christine video, and it's probably my summation at the end of this apology tour, all it comes down to is you're not apologizing for them. You're apologizing for yourself. You're not saying sorry because you're remorseful. You're saying sorry because you feel that would be a way for you to grease the rails with the fans and prospective new fans, that you can always go back and say, I apologize for all the evil that I've done. So therefore, everybody needs to shut up. You need to stop talking about me and all the wrong I've done you and the things that make me look bad. When you talk about, and here's the thing, when you talk about, don't tell those stories because they make me look bad. If they're true, then that's who you are. If they're true, that's who you are. Oh, don't tell those stories because they make me look bad. Well, we were bad at the time. I'm not going to say you're a bad person, but you were bad at the time. And you did the wrong thing. And if you were really there to apologize, you would take responsibility for that. And all in all, I say that when it comes down to it, David did exactly what David was supposed to do in this situation. He wasn't trying to disrupt Kody's little apology tour. He was merely trying to get clarification. And more to the point, he was trying to create a bridge to where they could have a meeting of the minds, to where the apology that Kody was offering could actually serve his wife, as opposed to Kody just coming there saying a bunch of words that don't mean anything to Christine, and he gets to say he said the damn words. So everybody needs to get over it. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die.